Welcome back to Made Up of Wires, where we're decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. At least I hope we are. My build is broken. It's completely possible that I did something stupid, but let's try to figure it out. I haven't been working on Symphony of the Night lately in my free time. Haven't been streaming lately either. Let's run a make clean, and for good measure, make clean all. Clean all cleans all of the specific version. So we're building 3 versions by default: HD, US, and PSP EU. And clean all will clean all of those, whereas the regular clean will only clean whatever your version is set to, which by default is US. Let's try just building US first, and then we'll go back to build all. Build all, I know, may break because I don't have it in CI. I really should get that change in, but life happens, so, you know. If you're not familiar, while this is building, I'll do my normal intro. If you're not familiar with the Symphony of the Night decompilation project, you can go to soten.z.dev to learn more, and you'll find a link to Discord and a link to GitHub, where you will find much of the code that's been decompiled on this stream. And things are breaking. Let's check the rebase. There's a rebase in progress, and I missed it. Which makes sense. I'm going to take my type def and we'll throw that down here as well. No, that's not what I wanted. I should have caught this earlier. And there we go. That should be it. I'm hoping that's it. It made it, when I rebased earlier, it made it seem like everything was fine. We've been working in the clock tower, and we'll keep doing that. It looks like there might have been some other overlays that have been brought in. Maybe some reverse castle, maybe? I'll have to go take a look. No, we're still seeing... Oh, my rebase isn't going to be correct, is it? Because I didn't add and I didn't continue. Oh, so it's just a merge issue, not a rebase issue. So we're seeing lots of multiple definitions. Let's clean all one more time. I should go back and review. It's been about a week or so since I've rebased, which usually isn't an issue, but maybe there's something that I missed along the way. Yeah, there we go. So it looks like maybe an include guard, or I have something else that I didn't merge. Let's check the git status again. My changes to gen should not be in here. Those are just private changes that I have that are not ready for merging yet. Everything that I have is about NZ1, with the exception of include entity. I thought that I had some changes that were related to stage. the stage header. Those might be checked in already. Okay, so what might be the issue? Let's go up and see. Let's look at history and see what might have happened. Sorry, reading. Oh, yeah, so my ninja changes have to go away, which is unfortunate. Drat. Oh well. Okay. So let's try one more time. And if that doesn't work, then we might be sunk. We can still grab some undecompiled stuff and work on that, but I'm a little bummed. Hey, Roaming, good to have you back. I think when we get around... Yeah, there we go. So, there are things like current entity, which appear to be no longer included. I wonder if this got removed from stage.h. So servant events, for example. Let's look at that. This might be something that I broke and didn't know it. Shared events, shared globals, and servant.h. Servant.h should be an include. And it includes game. I like putting brackets for these when they're not in the current directory, when they're in the search directory. I find that to be easier to reason about. But this does include game.h, which is what you would expect. Let's look at my diff. I don't think I have anything remarkable in here. Ah, there it is. That's my unremarkable change. That's breaking everything. Again, from the merge. And let's build again and see how it is going. This should work a little better, hopefully. Yeah, entity.h is not my favorite. The decomp's going okay. Hey, the speedrunnist, good to have you. So that looks fine. Let's build all and make sure that that's still working. A lot more PSP stuff, it looks like, has come in. I haven't been looking at Symphony of the Night much in the last week or so. Some interesting warnings. I wonder what F name is. That was a new change that I hadn't seen before this. All right, so we're back. We're building fine. So let's look for interesting places to find things in NZ1 that haven't been decompiled yet. So we're going to look at, I think I'm going to do this. We don't need it to be recursive, and we actually don't need case independence either. Well, we do need it to be recursive. What I wanted to do was find something that had a lot of missing code in it. I feel like Project Oblivion did most of these, or at least he was looking at them. The water effects. The water effects we talked about a little bit are down. A lot of code, a lot of functions for it just exists in one little place in the bottom of maybe two places. In the bottom of the clock towers, there's pools that you can fall into, and unless you have the holy symbol, which is a snorkel as far as I can tell, you will get you'll start losing health in there. Why do we have init PSP in here? I guess that's fine. Strange though, since that is very PSP specific. It will end up living here eventually. What's interesting, chat, if you want to see any of these. Flea Man, we know there's a small difference between the Flea Man in the clock tower and the Flea Man elsewhere. Medusa heads, we have a bunch of common code for that, so we can look at that and see. Let's look at that. Let's see how these Medusa heads differ from NO. The NOO is the outer wall. I don't remember correctly, or exactly which one it is. So we should have most of these. Let's look for Medusa head spawner. NO1. And we could see how similar, if at all, it is to this function. So let's do that. So we're looking at the non-matchings, E-Medusa, and we'll look at the Medusa head spawner. I do need to try to get this stuff checked in. I'm accumulating changes that I need to be able to get rid of. So let's see, we'll start a new one. Windows 98? No. Everything's moved. All right, so we have M2C was able to figure out the type, which is nice. I'm going to throw this down here, give it an argument name that I like better. And we won't need these. I think I'm going to flip back and forth between the terminal and this. So we know that NOO has Medusa heads, and we should be able to look there for most of the guidance. A little strange. Function declarations are extern by default, so we probably don't need to make these extern. And so it looks like we have this already, Medusa head spawner params. My guess is that this is going to be very similar. So we do need to figure out what this struct is and where it's defined. It's in stage.h, not a good place for it, because this is only used so far in NOO. Obviously it's used elsewhere, but not every stage needs to know what a Medusa head is. And this comment tells you not everybody needs to know what it is. Ah! Exclamation point in the wrong place. Normally I don't use PB copy. Not copying and pasting a lot between systems. So we're going to assume that this is Medusa head spawner params. We don't know for sure, but let's assume that that's what that is, and we can put that in the context there, and it's an array. And then I think that's mostly it. Oh, sorry, yeah, I could turn it up a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, it's up there. I don't have a preset for how low I make it. I just tap somewhere in the middle. I thought I target a specific tick mark, but apparently not. Okay, so I think that should be it. It would be cool if this is an exact match, but don't know that yet. So I'm going to go back here, and we're just going to grab this whole function and see. I won't make the same mistake twice, at least not on this string. We'll see if this is it. So we do need to know what the entity ID for these is. We're just going to put one in for now, and we'll get the right number in a bit. It's a little strange that this entity init isn't given a name. So we can fix that over in NOO and call it init spawner. And that looks like it is a match. So we have hex 58 and hex 57, maybe backwards. That was correct. So the only thing that's wrong is the difference between the player position. So we can start moving that all the Medusa stuff out into a common file. We have to do a few things. We have to map g-init entities. The entity spawner. We have to determine whether the data is the same or not. Hopefully it is. I think the behavior is mostly the same. But this is kind of a fun thing. I'm actually going to, because this work is completely separate from the other stuff that I have in NO or NZ1, I am going to make a new branch for this. Call it NZ1 Medusa. Oh. So what did we have in here? We had pendulum, and we had gears. All right, so let's try that again. Oh, we had changes in entity.h too. I'll push those to GitHub so I can remember to do a review. Let's try one more time. There we go. So we were in source stnz1 e Medusa head. And so we're going to also look at no1e Medusa. And optimally what we're going to do is move all of this code over, but I like to do things piece by piece. So we're going to first make a e Medusa head .h file and add it. And optimally, we would have all the definitions that we need, but we're not going to be able to do that because we need specific things from the stage header, like the entity IDs for each of those. So we can't do that yet. So we need a couple things on both sides. First, we need to map this 8018095C. We need to map that to a variable called geinit spawner. And so I want to see, is that already defined? It is. These common ones, it would be nice if we just move those to stage.h and then get rid of them everywhere. And maybe I'll do that one day. So we have that there, and we also need to update now everywhere that's using that. And then the definition. And this is nice because it's not, there's no symbol. We can just rename it, and that should be fine. I don't think NOO, excuse me, is being built for anywhere else. So I think it's only going to affect the PlayStation, US PlayStation version. Because NOO, though, doesn't match, we might have a little bit of work to do now that I'm thinking about it, because we do want to get the PSP version matching too, and so we might have to rework this function a little bit. Let me get the variables set up and matching first, and then we'll do that. So the next step is for, we already have that field mapped. The next one is mapping the symbol for the Medusa head spawner params. We need to get that mapped for NZ1. And so we'll do that, and just take the name from here. And we get the address from the automatic variable name, or the auto-generated variable name, which is based on where it is in VRAM. And we shouldn't have to change anything. That should build fine, and it should update the assembly to point to Medusa head params, which is fine. So all that now, optimally, we'd be able to take this implementation and just drop it in here, and I think this will work. I don't think that there's anything preventing it. We probably need a declaration, and one more thing. Let's go grab the NZ1 header, make sure that we have a entity E Medusa head blue and yellow. Yes, we have those already, and they should be 57 and 58 in hex, and we'll find out soon if that's true. Medusa head spawner params is undeclared. Yes, it is. I did not declare it. We also have, fortunately, this struct is already in Medusa head, so we get away with, it's already in stage.h, right? Medusa head spawner params. Oh, where was this? It is there, and we should have stage.h available to us here. Did I screw this up? Yes, I did screw it up. Hey Volto, good to have you. Welcome. All right, so we're matching. So we know that the two versions work the same. So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna move. What should I move? I'm going to move the definition of that struct, which is only used here. I'm going to move that over. The order between data and functions doesn't really make a difference because they're separated out, even though they're in a particular order in the C file. They're separated out and then put in separate places in the final binary. So we can actually, even though this is being included before, the only thing that it's having the data up front is doing is the definition acts as the declaration for that variable, and so we get that declaration prior to the function definition, and there's some value in that. If I wanted to pull the data in first, which may be valuable, I'd have to go map that data to the appropriate place, so we could do that. I'm mostly interested in the function right now, though, so I might wait on that. I'm going to grab this because these are only used here, and I'm going to put them. That's what I wanted. I'm going to put that here, and it should be gone from stage.h. Of course, everything depends on stage.h, so we have to rebuild, and that's why I don't like putting things here. So if they're stage specific and you put them here, now when you rebuild, you have 1,000 things to rebuild, even though it affected exactly one file. So be kind, don't pollute the global namespace, keep things private, get a room, and that built fine. So we have our types, which is good. So the next step would be to pull this whole function definition in here as well. And I'm not expecting anything crazy from that. Should build fine, and it does. And so we're going to slowly start migrating pieces of this, and we can guess, and we could say, yeah, I bet that Medusa Head Yellow is just params, and then it calls Medusa Head Blue. That seems pretty obvious to me, so let's try it. Let's not even look at the assembly. Let's just make assumptions that we could be wrong about, but don't hurt too much if they're not true. And so we'll try building again. And what did we... let's see, didn't save. And that turned out to be correct. So save some work by making assumptions. Unlike the old parable about assumptions, we can do it successfully sometimes. And we're going to do the same thing with blue. Let's see if there's any data references that we have to map first. So there's Gianet, Medusa Head Blue, and Medusa Head Yellow. I don't know that we have that for NZ1 yet. We can find out. Symbols, plural. We don't have that mapped, so we have to go figure out what it is. Interesting that basically blue knows about yellow and yellow knows about blue, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So again, I'm going to assume that blue and yellow are the same. Sorry, NZ1 and NO1 are the same. Non-matchings, and then we want E Medusa Head. And we want the blue. So we're going to look for initialize entity, spelled correctly, and find what the parameters to A0 are. Let me unwrap this to make it a little easier. So we have JAL, which is jump and link. And what are the options to pass to JAL? We have the CE4 and D8. So those are our two initializer options. And so what are we branching on? Branch if not equal to 0. So the else condition is our yellow. And the other one is blue. So we have... This is going to be easier if I do this. And we'll see if I'm correct. My guess is that blue would be defined first, so if the lower address isn't blue, then I'm probably wrong. Yeah, the lower address is blue. So I think I'm right. All those extra characters out of there. Alright, so we have Medusa Head in there. Let's get rid of the ASM here. I think that's the only other global that's in there. Hold on to your butts. Nope. We're missing a few other things. Bummer. And we broke this one. So we can save it. So we do need some of these other things in here. So let's go grab... go find the data and map that. It needs to be done anyway. I'm going to undo this. I'm going to undo this. And I'm going to undo this. And that gets us back to where we were. and that's fine. So what else do we need? We need to find the data, and that's a pretty good place to be. We have the init params mapped already, so let's look for that in ASM USSTNZ1 data. Isn't that the one we had? No, we had the top one? Spawner params. Yes, I totally meant spawner params. Copy the right thing. And there it is. So we expect the spawner params to be the start of data. I'm going to open a new app. I'm going to open the splat config. And so 22B8, we have a split, but ours for Medusa head is going to start at 22C4. I'm not going to look at the values of the data yet. I'm just going to look at the data. Sorry, the shape. So then, after our Medusa head spawner params, we have the animation frames. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 values, six values, and then usually there's some padding to the closest word boundary. So that'll bring us up to 8, and let's make sure that those are the 8 bytes that we think we have, and it looks like that is fine. Went the wrong way. And then we have a bunch of 32-bit values, 1, 2, 3. So we should have 32-bit value, 16-bit value, 16-bit value, and then another set. So we do end at 233C. So that seems fine, and I'm going to guess that that data is correct too. So I'm going to go out. If I do it all at once, I'll only run into trouble. So let's build first. We have undefined references. I thought I didn't do that. I have those. What is it yelling about? So I grabbed those from, let's undo this, I guess. Those came from these symbols. I'm not sure what. Yeah, there's nothing yet that is using those. Oh, what did I do? Yeah, Medusa head doesn't use those, so why do we care about a reference to them? I'm gonna get rid of those for now. We'll rely on the automatic symbols. Let's see where that error is coming from. Medusa head, text, undefined reference. Yeah, not sure where that's coming from at the moment. There's nothing here in, unless I didn't save that. Yeah, okay, I'm gonna get rid of those symbols. Not sure why. We'll rely on Oh, are they declared in the C file? Yeah, you might be right. But it shouldn't matter because I have symbol names for them. Yeah, I'm not sure what is causing that. I'm gonna try it one more time with them in there. Try touching this. So by yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. All right, so I'll leave those out for now, and we'll deal with it in a bit. Okay, so we have the data. We got the data. Yeah, the C file doesn't use it. It's used in the assembly, and the assembly uses that symbol table to resolve symbols. And so as long as the address, or as long as the symbol's there, unless these are spelled differently, it's possible that I spelled them wrong. I thought I copied and pasted them, but maybe I didn't. No, that looks fine. And as long as there's something at this address here in data, it doesn't even have to be data, it just has to be in the address. It doesn't even have to be in the address space of this this overlay, actually. So yeah, right now, is it possible that it's possible that something already is defining this? Yes, that is the problem. It's already defined. That's actually a good problem, though. So let's fix that, and then we'll move on. I'm going to tab new. And this is why it wasn't defined, because it's not coming from data. It's coming from the compiled. It's not coming from the disassembled data. It's coming from the compiled data of this object. And this object at that address didn't give it the same name. And so now we have to keep these two things in sync because we have assembly that's relying on these values, and we have C that's relying on these values. And the symbol table acts as the bridge between those. And we need that as long as we have it. So now we do have some other things that we gotta resolve. Let's see. Oh, we have a reference in this file to those things. Yes? No? Apparently not. Or, you know, I just have no idea what I'm doing. Yeah, I think it was just a stale reference. So when I change the variable names in this, there's no dependency between this and something else that's been previously compiled. And because of the symbol name change, the thing that was previously compiled may still be referencing the old value. Is that the symbol file change should have taken care of that, because everything in an overlay depends on that symbol file. So I'm not sure why the build system didn't pick that up, but it's resolved now. All right, so we have those in there. And then I was looking at the data. So let's get that data in. So we're working there. We're gonna grab all of the data. And again, I'm gonna make the assumption that this is the same for both. And the first thing I'm gonna do is copy it into this file, and then set this to .data, and we'll build. And we have some references that we need to resolve. Okay, so kind of the same thing. We need to go through and give these all the names that that other things expect. Because again, let's not do that. I'm going to cheat. I'm going to skip ahead to the end and assume that that's all correct, and we'll figure that out. Undefined reference to life up. Okay, we're going to undo those again. Undo that other chain. Why is life up complaining? No, I did it. Did I undo something by accident? I'm gonna revert. Yeah, I need to get back to the tab that I was in. Where am I? Where am I? Hey, Nate. Good to have you. Nate's saying that on the PPSS emulator, you can plug in a virtual controller, just like you can on a real PSP if you have the right equipment, and then get to the debug menu based on that. Very cool. It looks like... Oh, that's fun. Some issue with creating the dynamic symbols, no fun. Okay, what am I doing? Get it together. So let's look at eMedusa head, and maybe I was wrong about that split. Maybe I got it wrong. So we're going to look at source st nz1 data eMedusa head. Not source. ASM US. And we have this spawner params, yes, that's expected. We have a little array that's expected. Oh, and then NZ1 rooms. We don't want that. So I missed that, and I didn't even think about it. But there's extra data down here. I didn't think about it. I saw the symbol name. This is rooms. I thought certainly that this was mapped already, but it's not mapped to the correct thing. So we're gonna build again. And that should be fine. And hopefully something is happening. So we have the data there that we expect, and so now we'll go .data there, and we're gonna do them, like I said, we're gonna do them both at the same time. I think we're gonna grab the data from here. And we're going to grab the function. Why not just put it all in medusa.h, medusahead.h? That would be a great idea, but that's not what I'm going to do. We need declarations for these. I will put those in eMedusahead.h. Medusa head init params is undeclared. And it looks like I missed that, so let's go grab that. And we need to get rid of the include ASM. And that was it. So we can, I'm going to revert this actually to the very beginning, except for the einit spawner. I think that was the only thing I changed in this version. And I'm going to grab this whole thing and put that in medusahead.h. And where'd my data go? Screwed up the copy paste. We'll get it. There we go. And then this should just be include eMedusahead.h. And this one should be as well. And I'm sure I screwed something up because that's the way this day is going, but we'll see. Ah, no, I didn't. I did good. I done good. All right, so the only difference between these two then is the header, NO1 versus NZ1. And the reason that we need the different header is because the entity IDs for NO1 and NZ1 are different for the Medusa heads and the Medusa head spawner. But we have data and we have code, which is awesome. And I'm going to have to go through, and there's some things that I want to get rid of. Einit spawner, I think, is something that should exist in Stage because I think it exists basically everywhere. So I think it's reasonable to put in, those are the kind of things I think are fine to put into stage.h. And I'm not sure why we don't have more of them in there, but they come on, there we go. Things like, so einit, background, block, there's a handful of them that basically are defined everywhere. And so it's good to have them here in stage.h so you don't have to define them anywhere. On the other hand, it's bad to have ones that only exist in a single stage. So in NZ1, actually, I'm going to get rid of Medusa head blue. Oh, it's not in there. Oh, NO1. Duh. Yeah, I don't think that there is a good reason to have it here. Interesting that some of the definitions differ. between the two. And most of these, I mean, again, I don't see a good reason. The only references to these exist in exactly one file. And in this case, most of these are actually a shared file anyway. Okay, so we're not done. When are we ever done? Just like the castle, there's always a second half. We need to figure out whether or not this works on the PSP. So I'm going to close all these. We're going to do similar mapping. First we'll do the data, and then we'll do the functions. And I'll start with the spawner. And like I said, I don't think that PSP has, we'll look at Splat. I don't think PSP EU has an 01 yet. Yeah. So this may not be PSP safe code yet, but I think we can get there. Is this for copying between overlays? Yes. And we know now, because there is no difference between the Medusa heads. It's always assumed that they're identical, but it's actually not a safe assumption to make, because sometimes there's small differences. I did a lot of assuming that they were going to be the same when I was doing this, and so we verify it obviously with the build. But often there's slight tweaks. Sometimes they're small as just data, or some parameter that's being checked. Sometimes there's code additions or deletions between the overlays. Goodbreed asks, what do you expect for 2026? Oh, 2026 prediction. Will we be done? It's possible. I don't see a good reason for it not to happen. Because we've made it pretty far, but things always happen, so who knows? People can come and go. Oh, did I not choose the right preset? I didn't choose the right preset. I've got to grab some context stuff. My only concern, I think, about progress, and obviously there's other people working on the project, it's not just me, is whether or not bosses are, how difficult bosses are. Bosses can really kind of throw a wrench in it. And this is PSP safe. So as long as we get the data, the yellow function was just a function called to blue. And so it looks like when this was being decompiled originally, care was taken to make sure that, not to toot my own horn, but I think I did that. It's always nice to remember when you did stuff. This was a long time ago, though. Probably close to a year ago. I think I decompiled all these. All right, so what we need to do is figure out where this data is, and we start with this address here. We could take the symbol. What will happen when we're finished? Will all the code... So the code is licensed under the AGPL 3, and so within the terms of that license, you can do what you want with it. You can do what you want with it now. Obviously, there's some mods that have been created so far, and other things. So that's pretty cool. There's a couple things that I think probably will happen sooner than later. Probably some ports. I was just thinking this morning, what would I like to do if I had my druthers? And I think getting like an optimized build would be neat. There's definitely some performance optimizations that could be made. So we do start right here. Let's open splat config for that. Hopefully people stay interested, but there's just a lot of data and functions and other symbols that haven't been mapped yet and given names, and I think that that is a big thing. There's a bunch of spin-off projects related to the SDK that I think will get more attention. Oh, bummer, there's RO data here that we need to worry about. Drat. I did not think about that. Oh, on the PlayStation, it's already accounted for. So when we have strings on the PlayStation compiled by GCC, those strings end up getting put into the RO data segment. On the other hand, strings are put in the data segment for the PSP. I think we end here. So we're going to find the data at 25F. Oh, 25EF8. So this is going to be the beginning of E Medusa head. And then the end of the data is going to be 25F78. So optimally, what will happen now is I can just point these files to the PlayStation file that we decompiled, and everything just works fine. Is it going to be that simple? We will find out soon. Oh, we have some undefined references. I didn't do this quite right. I can't just call it eMedusa head. I need to call it NZ1 PSP eMedusa head. I don't think that will make a huge difference. I'm not sure why. Oh, I know why. No, do I? CD8. What is this upset about? It's upset about a reference to a symbol that I don't think I touched. Oh, is this the issue? Is this unrelated? This is for NOO, I'm guessing, or NO1? No, it is NZ1 in function entity Medusa head blue. Identified in reference to CD8, but I don't have. I don't have symbols. Okay, let's look. Oh, interesting. That's not my favorite. So the way that these symbols got mapped, yeah, I don't like this at all. These were given names. So this is G and E in it. Gotta grab the names from NZ1. Those in the correct order. So it's blue and yellow. I'm still not sure. I didn't really change anything. I don't know why those symbols mattered. Yeah, that didn't make sense to me. Anyway, it's over. We don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't think there's anything that, like, if you put a symbol in here and it's never referenced, I don't think there's any issue with that. So I'm not sure why that ends up being an issue. Oh well. Not terribly important. So, okay. The next thing is, I don't like it when I don't know why, though, that we're going to take the NZ1 splat config and we're going to find E Medusa heads. We're going to change it to point to the NZ1 version. And then we're going to hope and pray, make data.data, that this just works. And assuming it's the same, it will. And it didn't. Why would it? So let's look at what might be going on. We want ESP-EU NZ1. So this is actually pretty interesting. So I mentioned at the beginning, an NOO, or NO1, sorry, is not decompiled yet at all for the PSP. We have different types of information that are coming from the C file and getting put into the final binary. There's data, which is could be globals. It's mostly globals. There's RO data, which is jump tables, and on GCC, that's strings. On MetroWorks, though, it puts strings into data, not RO data. There's text, which is all the code, and then there's BSS, or uninitialized data, which is globals that have no value assigned to them. At construction time, and GCC and MetroWorks also treat those differently. So we know that strings are treated differently, the order is different, but we also know that uninitialized data is treated differently as well. And so what I think has happened here is that the original version, this string, is defined before in data. It's defined before other data, where we have it the opposite. And the reason that happens is because of the ordering in the file. And I mentioned before that the ordering of data and functions doesn't matter, but in this case it does, because strings are treated differently. So let's figure out where that string is. We want E Medusa head, but everything else was fine. So all the code is the same. When that code was decompiled, it was decompiled as PSP safe, which is good. What I think is happening is this Medusa head init params. Oops, don't want to do that. It's only being used down here. And where is this Y? That's used in the spawner. So all we have to do is take this, put it down here. And my guess is that that will be all that matters. It won't affect the PlayStation at all. It will only affect the PSP. Let's look at it. There's one more. That other one actually probably needs to come down too, now that I think about it. We should have... Ooh, we don't have a lot less. I was hoping we'd have a lot less. Let's go grab that other data as well. And see if that helps us. And did that move our data? It didn't. So we still have this out of order. And so so we have, let's look at what this top information is. We have a hex 20, a hex 200, and a hex C0. These look like 16-bit values, I think. I'm trying to see if we can tell which data that is and where it's going to be. Okay, so this is possibly something else interesting that's going on. Can't be certain yet, but it's possible that these are actually different files and that there's a split here. And the reason I'm thinking that that's the case is that is certainly a way to force some data coming before other data. And as long as the alignment works out, nothing else really makes a difference. I think the other stuff up here is just addresses that shift because of that. Splitting the file is kind of a pain, but I think it's ultimately what is going to need to be done. And I guess let's try it and see. So I'm going to do a few things. I'm actually going to go back to revert all my changes here. I'm going to go back to having this as a separate file from the PlayStation. And the reason I want that is because it's easier in my mind to just work within the namespace of the PSP. This will still fail, and it should fail for the same reasons. All right, and so now what we're going to do is split this in. Let's make a new file. We're going to call it Medusa Head Spawner. And anything related to spawning is going to happen there. And now we need to know what file or what offset yellow is coming from. Actually, I think that's where we'll leave it today. We'll come back to this, and like I said, I think these are different files, but we'll figure that out tomorrow. So we've been decompiling Castlevania Symphony of the Night. You can go to certain.z.dev to learn more. Adios.